Guardians, the final shape is almost here, and with it brings new prismatic classes for each character. With all the changes to verbs, keywords, interactions, new fragments, subclasses, abilities, aspects, I decided to sit down and take some notes so you don't have to. With everything in front of me, I was able to come up with what I think are the best prismatic classes for each character, and the builds that I will be personally chasing after first. So strap in, Guardians, get out your pencil and paper, and get ready to take some notes on the 3 best prismatic builds for the final shape. Remember to leave a like if you find this video helpful, and if you like seeing build videos and other Destiny 2 helpful content, consider hitting that subscribe button. With that being said, let's jump right on into it. First off, I wanted to give a huge shout out to a member of the Destiny 2 community. Engineer has made a spreadsheet that contains everything you would need to create a prismatic build. This sheet was a huge time saver when it came to creating these builds. Link to the spreadsheet in the description, and if you want to support them, there's a link to their Ko-Fi in the spreadsheet. The first build we're going to be taking a look at is the Hunter Prismatic build. 3 of the most powerful builds as a hunter all have one thing in common: going invisible. So with this build, we focus on going invisible as much as possible. The beautiful thing about Prismatic is blending all of the strongest parts of builds we currently have into one synergistic masterpiece. And that's exactly what this build is, a masterpiece. We take bits and pieces from the infamous Celestial Nighthawk build, the Arc Melee Spam build, the Decoy Assassin build, and even the Into the Shadows Void Gear Falcons build. Obviously, getting a class exotic with 2 perks is the end goal, but for now, we'll use Assassin's Cowl to gain invisibility on powered melee kills and finishers. The main idea is to have a ton of options for powered melees and a ton of ways to go invisible or distract enemies. We accomplish this by taking the Combination Blow and Gambler's Dodge combo from Arc Hunter to be able to cycle our dodge and our melee endlessly and increase its strength. From Strand, we bring Threaded Spectre and the Grapple Grenade to have another way to use a powered melee and to create decoys, which not only distract the enemy but also spawn threadlings. And to top it off, we bring Stylus Executioner. Now, I know this sounds like overkill, and it kind of is, but the main reason I'm taking this aspect is because right now it says while invisible from Stylus Executioner, melees grant an extra 150% damage. We will bring fragments that will help gain ways to activate Stylus Executioner, but this means that the 150 extra percent damage can stack with that of Combination Blow to deal 463% more damage with our melees, which we can stack into even more with our fragments. So when it comes to the fragments, I'm shooting for facets of Bravery, Dawn, Protection, and Purpose. That way we can take less damage when we're surrounded, gain Radiant for our weapons on all of our melee kills, gain Restoration on an orb pickup, and even gain Unraveling rounds and Volatile rounds for our weapons. Okay, I know that sounds like a lot, but basically all you have to do is to keep doing the melee and dodge cycle like you do with Arc Hunter to work up that Combination Blow. Use a grapple melee for traversal, and in the meantime, you'll go invisible on every kill. Plus, you'll be gaining Radiant, Unraveling rounds, and Volatile rounds for your weapons. Oh yeah, and while you're dodging, you're creating decoys, and while near targets, you take less damage. So you might be asking, where does the Restoration come in? Well, with the fragment, Facet of Purpose, we can pick up an Orb of Power and gain a buff based on what super we're using, which in this case is Restoration. That's right, we're taking Golden Gun, and I'm picking Golden Gun for 3 main reasons. Number 1, we get that Restoration, and I love having constant healing. Number 2, I'm assuming that we'll face lots of enemies like Tormentors with the new Dread class, and with Golden Gun, you can shred them by hitting their crit. And number 3, we'll be using Assassin's Cowl as an exotic, so a hot swap to Celestial Nighthawk will be easy to pull off for DPS phases. The main way to improve this build is to take Void and Strand weapons. Technically, you can take any element as long as they have a perk like Incandescent or Volt Shot, but we will be giving our Void weapons Volatile rounds and our Strand weapons Unraveling rounds. As long as your weapon can proc an elemental debuff, you should be able to go invisible with Stylus Executioner, making it easy to gain that extra 150% melee damage. This build gives you immaculate ad clearing potential, fantastic survivability from Restoration and Invisibility, and even puts out a ton of damage in DPS phases with Golden Gun. If you can get the class exotic with Spirit of Assassin and Synthoceps, you can keep this same build, but increase that melee damage all the way up to 765% without any other debuffs or buffs. Taking a look at Titans, I'm making an Infinite Slams build. When Consecration got its buff a few months ago, I made an Infinite Ignitions build, and I fell in love with this aspect all over again. With Prismatic on the horizon, this build will be taken to the next level. See, the hardest part about Consecration was finding ways to get your melee back as quick as possible. So we take Heart of Inmost Light to buff our abilities' recharge rate and increase their damage. So with this build, we do the same thing. We aim to increase our damage as much as possible while maintaining a high uptime on our Consecration Slam. The first way we do this is with our class ability. With Hoyle, we want to use all of our abilities as much as possible. So we take Thrusters to give us an easy way to use our another class ability. Then we take Frenzy Blade paired with Consecration. The amazing thing is that with Frenzy Blade, we get 3 charges for our melee, so we can use them a bit more leniently if we want to or need to, giving you 3 slams of Consecration in your back pocket. And don't forget, with Frenzy Blade, the more charges of melee you have, the quicker it comes back. So if you can stay at 2 charges, you'll be getting that melee charge back very quickly. Then we bring Knockout to not only gain health back on melee kills, but also gain an extra 50% damage to our Consecration Slam. And I'm personally going for the Pulse Grenade since I find it to be the most consistent. As for the fragments, I'm going for facets of Balance, Purpose, and Dawn so that we can gain Restoration on Orb Pickup, get Radiant from our Consecration Slams, and getting kills with light damage gives melee energy, while kills with darkness give grenade energy. This now makes it so that our Consecration Slams will refund itself, and you can use both a light grenade and weapons to help get even more melee energy. I am taking Hammer of Soul as the super for the Restoration on Orb Pickup, and this offers us a way to deal damage at range. But you might have noticed that that's only 3 fragments. Well, I'm leaving the last fragment slot open to one of the ones not announced yet. See, because we get Restoration and deal a ton of solar damage, I'm hoping for a fragment that's like Ember Vampirion, where we can use our solar damage to extend that restoration. With constant healing from Restoration and Knockout giving us health back, we should be unkillable. We might have to see how the changes with Knockout play out, because if they're strong enough, I might recommend the Strand Super Blade Fury instead to gain Woven Mail and have that extra damage resistance instead of Restoration. So what's the flow for this build? Well, spam your abilities. Nearly all damage should give you more melee energy, and with Hoyle, we want to use our grenade and thrusters to help out with the process. Remember, Consecration causes ignitions, so it'll be easy to wipe out a ton of enemies, but we'll want to increase the melee damage for stronger ignitions on tougher targets like champions or mini bosses. Knockout and Hoyle give you 80% more damage, but if you get the exotic class item with Spirit of Inmost Light and Synthoceps, in theory, you should be able to increase that damage to nearly 300% more damage, while keeping all the same ability recharge rate. And to improve the build, I aim for 100 resilience and around 80 strength. We want strength high, but with Hoyle, we need to get our grenade back as quickly as possible, so we want around 70 in discipline as well. You can bring whatever weapons you want, but keep in mind that light aligned weapons will give you more melee energy, and dark aligned weapons will give you more grenade energy. So if you find that you need a little bit more energy for either of those abilities, just bring weapons that pair with that. This build should be fantastic for everything from easy to hard content, raids to strikes, and seasonal activities to Gambit. I mean, who doesn't like staying alive and watching enemies go boom? And for the Warlock, I'm going with a build I like to call the Singing Abilities build. With Hunter and Titan, I decided to stay away from the new super and aspects, mainly because we don't know how they'll truly perform, so I can't quite recommend them yet. But not for Warlocks. The Song of Flame super and Helion aspect sound too good to not recommend. With Song of Flame, it sounds like you can spam your abilities like crazy, which could be good for damage phases, but will definitely be good for ad clearing. This does have some synergy that we'll touch on in a minute. Helion, on the other hand, will give you a solar buddy by casting your Rift. If it's anything like the Arc Buddy, it will be a ton of fun to use and pretty powerful. So the exotic of choice is Verity's Brow. With weapon kills matching your grenade, we'll get stacks of death throws that give us up to 250% increased grenade regen and 100% more damage to our grenades. So the whole point of the build is to throw as many grenades as possible, make them deal as much damage as possible, and in the process help our allies get their grenades back quicker. Because we're focused on getting our grenade back quickly, we bring the aspect Feed the Void for its enhanced Devour to get back a ton of grenade energy and health on kills. We then bring the Vortex Grenade so that we can use fragments to make them cause weaken and deal even more damage. We bring the fragments facets of Bravery, Dawn, and Dominance so that we can gain volatile rounds with our Void weapons on grenade kills and have our grenades now weaken targets, and gain Radiant for our weapons with our powered melee. For the last fragment, I'm choosing Facet of Hope to increase our class ability regeneration rate while we have Devour or Radiant, which should be constantly. I'm picking this for the same reason I picked Arcane Needle as the melee. We want our other abilities as much as possible because the end goal is to get the exotic class item with Spirit of Inmost Light and Verity. That way you can use all of your abilities to empower the other ones and use Verity to increase your grenade's damage and get more recharge out of it. So what's the gameplay loop? So the gameplay loop goes like this. Pop your Rift to get your Solar Buddy. Use your powered melee to gain Radiant. Throw a grenade to proc Devour, Weaken, and volatile rounds. Then start mowing down enemies with your weapons to increase your grenade recharge rate and its potency, and chuck your grenades as soon as you get them, dealing massive damage and weakening everything. If you have the class exotic with both perks, use your other abilities as much as possible to help cycle between all of your abilities. To improve the build, we shoot for 100 resilience and discipline, and then about 60 to 70 in strength and recovery. The main point is to stay alive and throw as many grenades as possible, but with Hoyle, we gain increased regen to our other abilities, so we want a decent amount in both strength and recovery to get back our rift and our melee quicker. Bringing void weapons is a must for this, since with Verities, you want to use a weapon that matches your grenade. I think the Vortex grenade is the best, so in that case, we need to use a void weapon. Depending on how powerful the new super and aspect is, this build could be both an ad clearing machine and a DPS monster. But in the off chance that the new super isn't that good, you can simply swap it out for Needlestorm to deal good damage in a DPS phase. These are the top 3 builds that I will be going for in each class, but I do have some honorable mentions. For Hunter, with the class exotic pairing, Spirit of Foe Tracer and Star Eater, you can use Golden Gun to deal massive damage, then empower your weapons to deal extra damage, and bring ways to get free reloads to potentially deal some of the highest DPS in the game. As for Titans, with the class exotic pairing, Spirit of the Abiant and Scars, you can easily gain restoration by using your strand weapons, while suspending everything and anything, and potentially even send out those suspending waves by using your thrusters. And for the Warlock, with the class exotic pairing, Spirit of the Apotheosis and Harmony, we can use our strand weapons to gain back a ton of super energy, then use your Needlestorm to spam your abilities for a short time, leading to mass amounts of threadlings. And there you have it, Guardians. We've covered the prismatic builds that I will be going for when the final shape arrives on June 4th. These builds have some amazing synergy and can carry you in any content. But remember, mastering these builds is only the beginning. Experiment with different combinations, tweak your loadouts to suit your playstyle, and never stop honing your skills. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more Destiny 2 content. Let me know in the comment section what prismatic build you'll be going for first. Keep an eye out for future videos as we continue to explore the ever-evolving world of Destiny 2. Until then, may the threads of fate be ever in your favor. This is Lucky Mech, signing off. See you in the next adventure, Guardians.